Are you ready for a tad bit of fun in Photoshop? Because this week we are working with a few lines and giving those lines a bit of flair by tapering off the ends. Oh, so you thought that we could only do this kind of stuff with one of those fancy pressurized tablets. Not so, my friend, because if you know just where to go in Photoshop, then you too can pull off the same bit of magic. First of all, you will need to have Photoshop open. Start with a dark background, size of 1600 by 1200, or you'll find that the brush strokes will not look the same as mine do without making some additional changes to your own brush sizes. Next thing we need to worry about is if you can find the brush for the job. You see, if you've been messing around with your brushes and adding and subtracting sets, you might not have the correct ones available to you. So let's go about finding these critters. First, click on your brush tool. Click this arrow here, then click this arrow. Come down, and you can either select Reset Brushes to go back to your original state of your program, or click here to Basic Brushes. If you click on Basic Brushes, you can append them to the brushes that you already have in the set. I already have mine in here, so I'm just going to cancel out here. The next thing we need to do is open up this brush palette here. The brush tip that we want is 40 sample tip. Click here. For some strange reason, this brush here can only be found in this palette here, and you won't find it in this palette up here. So make sure you're in here in order to look for this sample tip brush. You'll see that the size is way too big, so we're going to bring that down to about a 1. And then the size of the tip itself, it's going to be moved down to about size 20. And then in Shape Dynamics, click right here. Have everything set to pen pressure. See this little orange triangle right here? It tells you need to use a pressure sensitive tablet, but we're going to be faking that a little later on in the tutorial, so don't worry about that right now. Close out of this. Next we need to make a new layer. We can rename this layer. I'll just call this stroke 1. Then you want to come over to your pen tool, click here, or click P on your keyboard. Click once here, hold down your Shift key to make it a straight line, and click over here. Now you want to go to your Paths palette, right here. Rename Work Path. If you don't rename the work path, you won't be able to make any additional paths. It'll just keep on making it over the same path and delete the previous ones. So we really do need to rename this path. Just double click here. Path 1 is fine for the name, so we'll just click OK to close out of that. And then what we need to do is come to Menu up here, click here, come down to Stroke Path. And this is where we simulate the pressure, and it'll look just like we have a pressurized tablet, but we don't. So just make sure you have this box checked here, Simulate Pressure, and then click OK. And that makes our tapered line. You can see where it's tapered on the ends. So it looks like we do have a tablet, but we don't. Okay, it's a little faded, so we're going to do a few tricks over in the Layers palette for that. The first thing that we can do is we could duplicate this layer to make it look a little thicker just by going here to Duplicate Layer. And that made it a little brighter color. Or we can get rid of that layer and we can add an outer glow to it. In the outer glow, we want Vivid Light right here. And we'll move this size up to about 13. Click OK. Okay, there's our first stroked path right there. And we're going to make a few other ones, make it a little prettier. So first of all, we need to make a new layer. And then we can come over to the Path panel. And we can make a new path right here. Path 2. Come back over to the Layer panel. And then with our pen tool, click here. Click to where we want it to go, like this. Hold on to it and drag it to how we want it to go. Click all the way to down here. Drag it again up like that, and then just like that. Okay, we need to stroke that path too, so come back over to the Path panel. In order to stroke it, we can come right down here because we already have that simulate pressure checkbox checked, so you can do right here. And that made a really nice path. Come back to your Layers panel. You can either duplicate it here or you can use the effects. We can just hold this effect and press the Alt key and drag it upwards, just like this, to add the effect and make it brighter, like that. Let's first rename it. I think we'll have stroke 2 here. Now we will duplicate the layer. Come over here to the Move tool, or you can press the keyboard letter V and then move it down to where you want it, just like that. And since it was duplicated, we already had their outer glow effect on it. Now if you want to get rid of your path, you can just come over to the Path panel like that and click anywhere and it'll make the path disappear. So there's your design. And since they're on different layers here, in the Move tool you can move them independently anywhere you want. Just like that. Well, that is about all there is to creating tapered lines in Photoshop. This is Stars and Dust signing off until next time.